Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to The Nicole Speaks, where I give my feedback and commentary to the latest news and entertainment from a positive point of view. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you can get those notifications, and let's get it cracking. Alright guys, so I am back with another video. As you can see, I've done some rebranding as far as my name. It is now under The Nicole Speaks, so be sure to follow me on all social medias. So let's get into the story. Now, we are talking about Queen Naija and Chris Sails. Chris Sails took to social media, Instagram to be exact, and kind of expressed his feelings towards Queen. Allegedly, per his words, she filed for full custody and she's trying to take his son away from him. So those are his words. Also, he was talking about how much he misses his son. He hasn't seen him in over 2 months, with the pandemic and everything that has been going on. So, of course, Queen responded and she's pretty much showed us some text messages of Chris and her conversation and just basically talking about what he would have to do in order to see his son come to Atlanta, and she doesn't feel safe with him going to Houston, with everything that transpired over the past month or two. And, she's kind of like just fed up and wanting to put her foot down as far as where or when CJ is allowed to go see his father. And as a mother, she has that right as well. I know that they've probably made some agreements as far as CJ coming for 2 months, going back to her, or CJ coming to Chris for the summer. But in the end, coming from a mother's point of view, you have to kind of like put yourself in the mother's shoes and just ride the wave, because I'm pretty sure from her way of thinking, she's thinking not as a bitter person, but as someone who sees certain things happening, or, their son has been put in situations where she wasn't able to get in contact with him, or the child's father is being, arrested several times, or other issues dealing with domestic violence in the past. So everyone reaches their breaking point. And I know a lot of people were saying, Queen is just bitter, this and that. But coming from a mother, I could definitely understand. Now, on the other hand, I can still understand, Chris's point of view as well. He misses his son. But at some point, you have to take accountability for, the situation that you're in right now. As much as you want to point the finger at someone else and say, you're the reason why I can't see my son, this and that, you also have to take some kind of responsibility or accountability for you even being in the situation now, to where accommodations have to be made for you to see your son. You did in this last situation go to jail, and pretty much had Queen worried because she couldn't get in contact with CJ. No, this is not a reason to constantly point the finger at Chris. I see a lot of people bashing him and talking horribly about him. There are people who go to jail, people who get arrested, people who get pulled over, and they have their children with them. It's not an excuse, no, but we have to think of the reality of the situation. And of course, he's a father who is very active in his child's life. So of course, he's going to miss his son. He's going to feel something. He's human. He's going to miss his child, especially if he hasn't seen him in over 2 months. But I think it has to be a point where, adults grow up and actually see the situation from a different perspective, not just their own perspective. Because if we just continue, or Chris continues to look at that situation from his perspective, he's just going to see him as a father missing his son. And of course, he's going to continue to think that Queen is doing it out of spite. He's going to think that she is purposely keeping him away from him, which is most likely probably not the case. There are things going on every day. The COVID-19 cases are going up higher and higher. And thinking of putting a child on an airplane, not even, let's just say COVID-19 wasn't even here right now. Think of the emotions that a child has to go through, going back and forth from this parent to this parent. And it's not just the, situation where it's COVID-19. No, it's not all about that. It's with just the emotional toll that is put on a child for them to have to travel from this state to that state, this state to that state. And, when you get ready to leave your father, you're crying, you're heartbroken. When you get ready to leave your mother, you're crying and you're heartbroken. So it's just like you're going back and forth, and nobody's thinking about the child. They're just thinking about themselves. So you have to step away from that selfish mentality, and you have to put the common denominator at the forefront, which is CJ. Everything should be mapped and planned around CJ. Everything should be considered, for CJ, because he's the common factor in this situation. Now, Chris, of course, he's on probation. He probably can't leave the state, but I did see where, not sure if it's true, where people were saying that he didn't want to contact the probation officer. He didn't want to put in any effort to see if he can get approved to travel. Now, just because you're on probation, I know this for a fact, I've been on probation, that doesn't exclude you from traveling out of the state. It all depends on, one, your probation officer. It all depends on, two, if you've been getting in any other trouble while you've been on probation. And it depends on how hard or how much effort you put in. So you could contact the judge. You can contact the judge's assistant, write a letter to the courts. You can go up and beyond, up and above your probation officer. But like I said, it's all going to come back down to your character and everything that you've been doing while you're on probation. So if you've been picking up charges, if you've been getting arrested while you're on probation, then of course, it's going to be a little more skeptical or difficult for you to leave the state of Texas. So you have to keep that in mind. And that all falls back on what I just said, taking accountability and responsibility for your actions. That is not, Queen or anybody else's fault that you're in that situation. Of course, in a perfect world, you'll have a parent. Both parents agree with everything that each other, each person, wants. But we don't live in that type of world. And if that's the case, then, children would be in a lot of danger. So like I said, the main factor is CJ. If I was a father and I see that forget everything else. If I see that there's COVID-19 and, I would just keep my son, hey, stay in Atlanta, stay over there. I don't care if it's 6 months. I don't care if it's 8 months, 9 months, I wouldn't want my child traveling on an airplane, going through an airport or whatever it is, putting his life at risk. Also, like I said from the beginning, yes, people make mistakes. Yes, Chris is not perfect. Queen is not perfect. But you also have to think about everything else that has transpired. If I know that CPS was called, on my child, and, it's just things that has happened. And yeah, Chris has done some things that were very childish as far as his son's safety and inviting random people over to the house during pandemic or when everyone is supposed to be on lockdown. It doesn't matter if, Chris is away. There's people that saying he was in a hot tub and this and that. But even if he was put away in a room, you got to understand that COVID-19 is nothing to play with. People have been losing their lives from this virus, this thing that has been going around. And it looks like it's coming back up. It died down maybe for just a teeny bit, but honestly, did it really die down? We don't know that. But now it's getting more and more out of control, and people are starting to get sick in bigger groups and, by the dozens. So, of course, the child comes first. People, these are two parents. Chris is human. Queen is human. When you look at these two people, look at them as if you were in their shoes. Yes, we have to understand that, of course, Chris, he's going to miss his son. Now, taking it to social media, I don't care who it is or what the situation is. It's best to just keep your situation and your problems off social media, especially if you don't want to hear, feedback from other people. Once you put it on social media, you pretty much open yourself up to hear that feedback and, what people have to say. That doesn't mean that, that gives a person a right to bash you or say horrible things about you. But if someone has an opinion that's not rude or anything, they have an opinion on a situation, then that's what it's going to be, because you brought that situation to social media. So if you don't want anybody in your business, keep quiet. Handle things away from the media. The only reason why a person would bring it to the media is to, one, try to embarrass the other person or get sympathy from someone. You know what I'm saying? Or, of course, if someone is defending themselves from the person who has made crazy allegations against them. And speaking of making crazy allegations against someone, people were upset that Clarence put in his 2 cents when he put LMAO. But honestly, we really don't know what that was for. And obviously, in the end, now that we've seen text messages, of course, the LMAO, if we keep it real, was for laughing out loud, because he knows that what Chris was saying, some of that stuff was a lie when he said that Queen is keeping his son away from him, or, he says that he won't be able to see his son again. Of course, it's clickbait for people to click on it, but you have to be real careful of the things you put out there about others. It doesn't matter if it's just a title for clickbait. You have to think people are going to take these allegations and run with them, shape them and form them into their own truth, even if it's not truth. So he was laughing at that. And honestly, that's his woman. So if he has something to say to defend Queen, that's his woman. Any man is going to defend their woman. You don't have to be married to that person to defend your woman. It doesn't matter if he's not, CJ's father. If Chris is saying something crazy or lying, making allegations about the character of the mother of his child, Clarence being being her boyfriend, of course he's going to speak up and say something. Any man would. And that's true. And if you say you wouldn't, you're lying. And if you really wouldn't, if you don't have someone defending you, or whatever, that's on you. If a man's just going to sit back and not say anything and allow another man to say horrible things about you, you might want to get you another man. So that's that. In the end, I hope everything works out for them. Like I said, there's avenues and things that Chris can do to maybe get in touch. Some people, of course, they have fear of hearing the word no. But you can't live in fear, especially if you say you're a believer in God, a believer of God. You can't be fearful. You have to take a leap of faith and do what you have to do to see your son. I don't think Queen's going to keep him away forever, but if I was her, I'd definitely wait and give all of this craziness some time to die down. No, 2 months is not enough for the situation to die down, because when CPS is involved, they don't just go away. They don't just vanish out of the blue. They hang around, they check things, they keep a case open, and they investigate. They do, investigations. And if you're a fan of Chris, or if you are someone who doesn't, like Chris, and the same thing with Queen, if you're a fan and you're out here calling CPS just to be calling CPS, then you definitely need to stop, because you reap what you sow. Karma is real. It'll come back on you 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, who knows, from now. And it's not cool. Don't call CPS if CPS doesn't have to be called. If the child is not in danger. But if you see something that you're genuinely concerned about, then of course, you do what you have to do. But don't just be out here calling CPS because you don't like Chris. Or don't be calling CPS because you don't like Queen. Like, that's just ridiculous to try to get someone's child taken away from them. Everyone makes mistakes. I've been in trouble before, and it's easy to get in trouble. It's hard to get out of trouble. So while we're on the outside looking in, we have to think of the sins and everything that we've done that could equate to, consequences as well. A lot of you have gotten away with a lot of things and still getting away with a lot of things. So you find it easy to point your finger at someone from the outside, whether it's Chris or Queen. So you have to keep that in mind as well. You can't just be out here living reckless, thinking that you're untouchable just because you haven't got caught yet. So have a little compassion, have a little sympathy for people. And if you feel like something is wrong, pray for them. That's the best thing you could do. There's no need to bash. I see other YouTubers bashing Queen, and it seems like every time the situation happens with Chris and Queen, there's people who flock to Chris's side and automatically bash Queen. There's people that bash Chris just because he's, cheated in the past. That stuff is old, over with, and done. It's all about right now. So if you feel something is wrong, if you're concerned, send a prayer up. A lot of y'all claim to be, churchgoers, or people that believe in God and believe in Christ, followers of Christ. So if that's you, if you're the good people, the good person that you say you are, get on your knees and pray for somebody instead of bashing them and calling them, deadbeats or, whatever. And that's that. So leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about the situation. Respectful comments only. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter at @DNicoleSpeaks. Remember, stay positive. Don't allow anyone to rob you of your peace. Until next time.